Welcome to Afros and Audio's Black History Month interview series. My name is Talib Jasir, founder and CEO of Afros and Audio Podcast Festival, the first two-day conference for and by Black independent podcast creatives and audio professionals. I'm excited to spotlight 28 outstanding indie podcast creatives who answer the call to be a part of this series. Today, my guest is Kamani Anku. Welcome and thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
I'm excited too, man.
I'm nervous, but I'm excited. And I always tell people I'm always nervous, but I'm always nervous when I step on in front. But it's a good thing. It's not a bad thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited to talk to you today, man. And first thing I want to do is let the folks know a little bit about you, your background, and what you're up to.
Okay. I'm Kamani Anku. I consider myself a global garden coach where I go out and I help folks learn how to grow their own food from like seed to harvest. And I work with a client for a whole year doing that process. I'm in Maryland, right outside of DC. Yeah. Once we get into it, I'll tell you how I become a garden coach. But yeah, primary garden coach out there teaching people how to grow food through virtual learning, Instagram, in person, colleges, high school, kids, churches, all that good stuff.
Awesome, man. So tell folks about gardening and beats.
So Gardening Beats is my platform. It's funny because gardening saved my life. So Gardening Beats, I don't know where that name came from, but it's very fitting of me. I learned how to garden through my mom when I had fell on some hard times, considered some suicide, depression. My mom said, you need to start a garden. So I ended up starting a garden with two vegetables, which was chives and strawberries that I planted over 15 years ago. And those two vegetables are still growing in my yard, which is crazy. And through that process, I just learned how to grow because I wanted to better myself. And actually, it helped me mentally. So that was like my garden therapy. The beats was always the beats, like in music, because I was always doing music. And so that was part of my life as well. So Gardening and Beats, that was the name. It just happened one day. I was like, okay, this is what it's gonna be. I'm gonna do some gardening, I'm gonna do some music, and that's how my website is gonna be, my platform, my business, everything is gonna encompass music and gardening. And so I was just writing some stuff down and nothing came to me. And one day it just came off my tongue, Gardening and Beats. And I was like, that's it right there. That's me. There's the garden, there's the music. So I went on Instagram, I got an Instagram account. I went on Facebook, did that. I went to was it Big Old Daddy, and I took out gardeningbeats.com. I was like, I don't care if I never do anything with it, but I'm gonna do it. Of course, the pandemic came, and all my friends knew I've been growing food. I've been growing food for at least 15 to 16 years now. And they was like, it's the pandemic. I need something to do. I want to start a garden like you. And everybody was calling me saying they want to start a garden. And I was like, okay, I'll do it. We're going to do it on virtually. But if I come out, I got to wear a mask. I don't care if we outside or not. This COVID thing is crazy. And they was like, we're going to pay you, so don't worry about it. And I was like, pay? I'm gonna do this for free. This is what I love to do. I don't need to get paid. And from there, that's when I decided that was gonna be the business, gardening and beats. And I'm gonna go and teach people how to grow food. And people gonna pay me, and they're gonna learn my piece through my experience that I had over the years. And it just started happening. One person saw it, the next person started, and then the money just started coming in. And I was like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is my passion. This is my calling. So 2021, I incorporated and became a business. Call myself a full-fledged global garden coach. I'm adding celebrity now because I have two celebrities that I work with now, which I'm really excited about.
That's so awesome, man. It's crazy how you can step into something that is authentically and genuinely you and not have any expectations of it. See, that's where people start to get mixed up. We go into things with this expectation, okay, boom, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. And that's great. That works as well. It also works when you lean into what makes you special and your superpowers and see where it takes you without that expectation. And without the expectation, you got everything that's come to you. I think that's amazing. So
Yeah, it was crazy for that, just to chime in, because I wasn't thinking about money. I was like, people, the grocery stores is acting funny. Don't nobody want to be in the grocery stores. People are dying from COVID. Let's get out there. How can I help these folks? You know what I'm saying? I would never thought money was nowhere in the back of my head. And people was like, we're going to help you. It was another organization, the Washington Youth Garden, that I work with at a school. They would come out and teach kids how to do garden. So I would volunteer my time. And during the COVID time, they even contacted me and they was like, that's how I really came up with the Garden of Beats, because they was like, what's your Instagram? What's your business? Blah, blah, blah. What's your Cash App? And I was like, Cash App? What do you mean Cash App? I didn't even know what Cash App was at that time. So they was like, come up with something. So I went in the backyard, took some photos, sent these nice photos, created a Cash App. And then I was going to school at the time too. So I had to get my work done. You know how it is when you're going to school and grad school and you're trying to get your work done. And so all of a sudden they say it's gonna come out in a week. Just be prepared. I was like, okay, I'm prepared. You know what I'm saying? The next week or so, it was out. Cash out. My phone just kept ringing and ringing and ringing and ringing and ringing, and I didn't know what it was doing, and I couldn't really get to it. I'm in the middle of graduate school, and I was like, if I keep on picking up this phone, I'm never gonna get the work now. The next thing I knew, when I got a break, it was like over $400, $500 in my cash account for people I have never known. And it was mostly from the Washington Youth Garden Center, and they was like, "This is for to get some apps, to get a website, because we believe in you," and that was crazy. You know what I'm saying? I never expected that.
wow, that's amazing, Kamani. Talk about the podcast, how that got started, why you decided to use podcasting as a means to get the message out.
So it's funny, it's still going on, playing off this whole Cash App thing, creating gardening beats and running out and trying to get a website and all this stuff. So from there, a friend of mine, I was directing a podcast for an organization, and there was a young lady right there. They was like, have you heard of Clubhouse? I'm not a big social media person. I am now, but I wasn't at first. And she's like, you need to be on Clubhouse. It's invite only. I'm gonna invite you. And so I got on Clubhouse. I didn't really like it at first because I didn't see any like-minded people. And then I was like, that was fun. I'm not gonna get on there anymore, you know what I'm saying? And then lo and behold, someone contacted me through my email talking about they doing a seminar on growing food during the pandemic, and they want me to be a panelist and be up there in the front. Will I do it? And I was like, okay, I'll do it. You know what I'm saying? We stuck in the house, you know what I'm saying? Let me do it. And so from there, people started asking me. And so that was my first foray into podcasting, because I was calling myself, doing it myself, calling the Black Gardener Talk virtual tour with Kamani and Ku. And so it was just all about me. And I was booking like LinkedIn links and different things like that. And then one day I woke up, I was like, I think they heard enough from me. I bet it's some more people out there that have the same stories or have similar stories. So I was like, I'm gonna feature some other people, and they have to be Black or brown people, and it has to be Black Gardener Talk. And people's like, you're gonna peg yourself into a box if you just do Black. I was like, I'm Black, I'm gonna die Black. You know what I'm saying? It's Black Gardener Talk. And then I started looking for people on the internet to see who fits in that box I can interview. And it was a young man in Atlanta, and he's from, I believe he's from Cuba or something like that. So he's a brown brother, and he was in Atlanta growing his own food. And I was like, he's gonna be my first guest, because I definitely want to target Black and brown people. And then a comedian here in DC and Maryland that I've known for years was a gardener. And I was like, when did he become a gardener? And so it just started adding up, and I just found all these people, and I was like, this is going to be a good platform for me. And it has really built my audience and my fan base, and just pushing me to other great things that I'm doing in this gardening and farming space for Black people.
That's awesome, man. And so would you say that you started the podcast during the pandemic as well, or was that kind of on the
Yeah,
outside?
it wasn't in the front of my mind, but I was like, because I didn't even know what a podcast was. I was just like, I'm just gonna get on the Instagram live, because people said go live. That's how you build your following. I was like, I don't want to do no live, even though my background is in television and film, but I never wanted to be in front of the camera at all. You know what I'm saying? So I did it, and then I was like, oh, I suck at this. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, maybe that's why I'm the producer and I'm the writers and the camera people. And then I was like, I'm gonna keep on doing it. You know what I'm saying? And it just gotten better and better. And now I have found my voice, And people are coming to me, and I have some deals in the work with some networks to do an actual TV show and a national television show. And so I was like, wow, I'm glad I didn't give up. You know what I'm saying?
That's crazy, like in the best kind of way. People are going to hear this a couple of times in these interviews because I'm a coach, and one of my philosophies is as you manifest your vision begins to manifest you. And you are the epitome of that, right? You stepped out there, you got yourself in the game, and with no expectations,
Yeah.
and you don't have any idea what opportunities are coming your way or any idea who the people are that you've never met in your life that are going to one day be in your inbox on your phone. It's literally how it happens, but you must start.
Yes. You must start, and I feel like people need to start. Like I said, I never wanted to be in front of the camera. Just some issues I have with myself, you know what I'm saying? And it has opened me up to a whole new world. Like I have different kinds of microphones now. I have these crazy microphones. I have all this gear and lights. Of course, I always had lights because I'm a filmmaker too. But now I sit in the studio in my basement. I created a whole TV set, 2 or 3 sets in my basement. And I was like, I just got to go for it now. And like I said, people come in every which way and everywhere saying, oh, we want you on TV, we want you to do this, we want you to be on radio. And I was like, I really don't have the voice for it, but I'll do it. And so it's just happening. And then since wins, and we could talk about a win, this is a Webby Award that I won last year for Best Podcasting for Black Gardener Talk. Who would know?
Wow.
Best Podcast Series for the Sustainability and Environmental Black Gardener Talk, Kamani and Cool, Gardening
Look
Beat.
at that, man. Congratulations.
Yeah, so things just happen. So I was like, I just got to go for it. And I encourage any and everybody to just go for it. Whether you have one follower, if you have 20,000 followers, or 2 people on your live stream, or just check your podcast, act like it's the biggest audience you ever seen in your life and just give it to them.
Absolutely. So you have an interesting way in which you record your podcast, which you alluded to earlier, which is you start with the IG Live. And is it that you then take the audio from that and upload it?
Yeah. So one of the reasons why I chose to do my podcast on Instagram Live is to be in front of the camera, to get over that nervousness and create a personality. I always had a personality, but giving me a space to create something other than the normal Kamani. The normal Kamani is a really introvert that don't like to really mingle and talk with people. I'm a good-hearted person and I'll have conversation with you, but I'm not the conversation starter. You know what I'm saying? And so that allowed me to like, there you go, dig on my face. You know what I'm saying? This is it. Do it. So I chose Instagram Live to practice, to get better, to appreciate and love my voice. I don't love my voice. You know what I'm saying? I'm a little bit of country. I'm a little bit out of the country. I'm a little DC. I'm a little Maryland. You know what I'm saying? I was like, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? And so that's why I chose it. But then what I do is I do go live. I snatch that audio down and I make 2 versions of it. I make an audio version and then I make a video version. The video version, of course, for people who want to see me visually, and then on audio, like Apple Music or Amazon, there's an audio version of my Black Garden Talk podcast, which I'll also take at like this crazy opening at the beginning. Then it talks about waking up, and people need to wake up to gardening and becoming sustainable and growing their own food and different things like that. I do it 2 ways, and it's been working. I built most of my followers on social media by going live. And I do it consistently. Every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. If you go on Instagram Live, you're going to see me interviewing some gardeners all over the country.
That's amazing, man. And it's a testament to being willing to stretch yourself, because the more you stretch, the better and the more that you are able to improve from that first moment. And it's about not saying, okay, yeah, I've confirmed that I suck. I'm gonna go back to the closet. Yeah. But saying, okay, got it.
I
Let's
mean,
keep
it was
going.
crazy because
Yeah.
so I'm a TV person, so I will write the scripts and I would read the scripts like I'm reading the script, not like giving no personality. I'm just like, and I was like, oh God, I suck. And people was like, no, just be you, just be you. You know what I'm saying? You're not live in front of nobody. Like in your space. You know what I'm saying? They out there in the internet world. So just be you and you create your own personality because you have a personality. And that's what I had to do. And I had to embrace that and learn that. And once I embraced it and learned it, I was like, oh, I got this. You know what I'm saying? I could do this with my eyes closed now. And I love waking up every Saturday morning and putting stuff together. I recently had a person on that was in New Mexico, and I had to go and do the research about Black farmers and brown farmers in New Mexico, which was really out of this world, to learn all the rich history of Black folks in New Mexico.
That's amazing. And I'm so glad that you shared all those stories, because it's a lot of people who are in those same shoes who don't even start because all of the, well, how will I do it? How will I get there? What's going to happen? Um, Makes people stop before they even start. And so you sharing this story of, yeah, I could have stopped before I started because I had all these limiting beliefs. I had all the inner talk. I had all of those things. Everything that would keep me from doing this was present, and I pushed through it. And so I just love that, because part of the point of this series is to showcase it from all standpoints, all aspects of starting. There's some people who are like, yeah, I always knew this was me. I'm like, boom, let's go. And there's some of us, because I resonate with you completely. Back in the day, I was like, if a peanut had a voice, it's mine. That's how. And I didn't want anybody to hear that. You know what I mean? Certain things about me, I didn't want to be on camera, stuff like that. But once you start stretching and you start pushing yourself in that direction, it does become who you've always been. It's just who you always talked yourself out of being. So I really appreciate you sharing that, man. It's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, so as you move it forward, you just mentioned one of the more recent episodes, but what would you say was an episode or research that you did, whatever it was for your podcast, that said, I'm doing some important work here, highlighting folks, I'm pushing a message. Is there any one episode that really made you feel validated?
At first, it was like, I don't know. Like I said, I'm in this just doing this, you know what I'm saying? Going off the cuff, just doing this and still doing the research because that's how I was taught to do the research. But then people was leaving comments and sending me messages like, you're changing people's lives. And I was like, I don't see it yet. I don't see it yet. I just love doing this. I love to get on there and just interview people. But it was a young lady, her name was Erica Plants. I met her through Clubhouse as well, and we got on last year around this time, and she almost had me in tears, and we had to get off. We had to really just jump off the live and be like, that was it. We had to just cut it because she started talking about how she wants to have a food truck, and she wants the food truck to go in these different neighborhoods who have food deserts and grow food, help them grow food, bring them food, let them pick food off the food truck as in produce, fresh vegetables, because they have no access. Some of them don't have legs, some of them don't have arms. And it was like, it was really powerful. And when I was doing it and having that conversation, I was listening to and I was nodding, and I can hear like the sincerity in her voice. And it changed my mind. It blew my mind afterwards when I actually saw her take a piece of it and cut it up. And I was like, was that really me doing that and bringing those questions and those answers out of her? It was like amazing. It was like, wow, I couldn't believe it. And so that's what I try to do now. Like when I interview people, I want to bring out the best of them. You know what I'm saying? And so it takes me a couple days to really put together a show and really research it. And how I do it, I book it on my podcast like 4 months in advance. So I'm all the way booked up until like June. That way I can have a time to really go through these people and validate these people and listen to what they're doing on their social media and gather information. That way I'm really in touch when they pop on the podcast. And I just like doing that work. But yeah, Erica Plants had me to the point where I was really about to cry. And then another young man in Florida, his name was Atiba. He was really good. He's a reggae artist. He got this big food forest in his backyard. And towards the end of it, he was crying on camera. And I was like, holy, you know what? I got to get off because I don't know if I want people to see me crying yet. You know what I'm saying? But that was amazing to just to see it. And it always happens afterwards, not why I'm doing it, but almost like afterwards. and it's amazing. There's so many people that come on there that they make me want to cry every week.
Yeah, man, the importance of our sustainability. And one of the things I joke with my friends about, I'm like, if there's ever an apocalypse, the Americans are the first to perish because we don't know how to do nothing.
We don't, and not only Americans, but Black and brown Americans, because
Yeah.
we're so caught up in going to the grocery store. Like the grocery store is going to be there forever. The clothing store is going to be there forever, ever. We should learn how to make our own clothes as well, as opposed to growing as well, because we never know. We don't know how to do anything. It's so fast out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I shared with you before we hit record that I grew up on a farm myself. I come from people who made their own clothes. It wasn't an Easter that we didn't have on something my grandma made. So, and she's 92 years old now, and I have about 20 plus recordings of her. And grew up in a very rural part of Maryland. And so I come from people who built their own homes, made their own clothing, grew their own food. And now coming from Jersey City, New York area for over 13 years, it was like, I got to find my own source again. This is about finding our own source of sustainability. I lived in an area in Jersey City where there was one grocery store that everyone went to, and then they shut it down. And there was no grocery store in that immediate area for a while until they built another one that kind of didn't even make sense with the area. And that's what we're up against, especially in urban areas and city areas. We are relying on infrastructure that does not give a damn about our reliance or our sustainability. So what would you like to see? What would you like this mission of yours and the mission of others that you've interviewed? What would you like to see for the future of Black and brown people when it comes to our self-sustainability?
I would like to see us taking back our land or acquiring land and growing food. Like I said, even learning how to go back and make the clothes, you know what I'm saying? But definitely number one priority is growing food no matter where you at. If you have big land, you have an apartment, you have a patio, you have a big backyard or whatever. Grow your own food so you know where it comes from. And you can be healthy, live a healthy life. That was part of my whole reason why gardening saved my life, and I did start the garden. I didn't talk about the health part of it, but because a lot of people hear that story all the time. But that was one of the benefits when I decided I was getting depressed and I wanted to do suicide. My body was changing, you know what I'm saying? I'm 5'8" and I blew up to about 185, 190. And I was like, oh, something's not right. So I did go to the doctor, and the doctor was like, you're going to have diabetes, you're going to have this, you're going to have that, you're going to do this. And that was part of the whole mission of growing food. And I would say, I told him, I don't want to be on no medication. I'm scared of it. My family, love medication and they depended on it. And I said, I don't want to do that. Give me 3 months and I'll come back and I promise you I'll lose the weight. And when I came back 3 months later from growing my own food and then just juicing and eating raw foods, I believe I was like 135. So I went from 185 to 135 in less than 3 months. And he was like, I don't need to check your blood. I don't need to check your pee. You good. You know what I'm saying? He's like, I said just a little bit of weight, not a whole bunch of weight. And he's, you know what? I want to do something with you. Can you come talk to some people at my office and talk about how you grew your own food, how you changed your diet, and how that worked out for you? And that was like my first speaking engagement, even though I didn't want to do it. That was like my first speaking engagement. So when the COVID hit and everything hit, and I was like, these were steps to get to this point. I just didn't know it. These were seeds. My mom planted the seed with me to start the garden. And then the doctor was like, you need to change your routine, your diet. And it was just steps. And then it just came out full blown. Even during COVID, I didn't really gain that much weight. I sit at 150 now. And he said that's a reasonable weight goal for somebody that's 5'8".
Talk to people, because there are people who are listening and we know the socialization. We understand that a lot of sickness and disease is coming from the foods that we are consuming, right? Talk to the people who say, listen, I live in apartments, I live in public housing, I don't have it. I can't figure that out. I can't do it. I don't have the land, I don't have the opportunity or space or the money to make this happen, which just simply is also the translation of I don't have the opportunity to invest in myself the way that you invest in yourself. Talk people through that limiting belief, please, if you would.
One, I was in that same boat. I didn't believe I could do it. You know what I'm saying? I did have the space, but I wasn't a backyard type of person. I would pay people to come cut my grass. You know what I'm saying? I would never step outside in the backyard. I was like, I ain't going out there. Too many mosquitoes out there and dog poop out there. I don't want to go out there. Once I started getting out there and start growing the food, I was like, I can do this. But I went to the big box store and I got a pack of strawberries that maybe was like 6 in a pack. And at that time, it was probably like $3. And those strawberries are still producing to this day, 15 years later. And that's crazy to me that they're still producing. You know what I'm saying? But it only costs $3. But I would say to a person that lives in like a public housing or don't have the space or have an apartment, go and get a cup, get some seeds. Public apartment, go and get all your neighbors together and just maybe build something out front, get some permission from the tenants, the landlords there, and maybe get a little small garden box and just get started. But you can get started anyway. Seeds cost maybe, I got some seeds right here, $1.96. There's about 100 seeds in here. You know how many peppers you can probably get out of this? And then you take those peppers when they grow and you cut the seeds out of those and you keep growing those seeds. You know what I'm saying? So it's not as hard as you think. Most people think it's hard or they feel like they don't have the time. You know what I'm saying? Take the time. You know what I'm saying? We all in a time crunch, it seems, or a time rush these days. We want the McDonald's fast. We want the perfume. We want Amazon fast. We want it all fast. Slow down a little bit and get back to the land. Fall back in love with the land. Fall back in love with a cup of dirt with some sunflowers, if it's just sunflowers or some basil. There's a lot of herbs and stuff that you can grow in the house. Invest in a aquaponic system. You can get an aquaponic system from Walmart for $60. That can grow almost every kind of fruit and vegetable you want, except for like apples and citrus, but they can do watermelons in an aquaponic system. And they're like these little systems that go right in the house that sit on your kitchen cabinet and you could grow it. It's just no excuse now. I think we put up a lot of excuses. It costs too much. We don't have the space. We don't have the land. Blah, blah, blah. I was fortunate enough to have the land, but I didn't know how to use the land when I had it at first. You know what I'm saying? Just entertain every now and then and get people to cut the grass. And now you can't keep me from being outside. I have a kitchen in my backyard now. I have a dining room set out there. I have a living room set out there. I have a balcony. I have a pool. You know what I'm saying? I put all those things in afterwards. You know what I'm saying? Stop using stuff as an excuse because you know that grocery store is right there. But if all the grocery stores shut down, what's going to happen? What if when the pandemic hit, all the grocery stores closed, just like all some of the other businesses closed? Where are you going to get that food from?
Absolutely. I'm gonna ask once we start recording if I can come over, but I don't want you to tell me no on camera. But 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 yeah, man, I'm super proud of the work you do.
Oh, just real quick, I want to add, like my brother, I have a brother who lives in a condo and I grow about 50% of my own food now in my backyard, but my little brother grows about 45% and he lives in a condo and he has a balcony and he grows everything. He even have a peach tree, he has a cherry tree, he has it all. So it's like when people was like, they don't have the time or they don't have the space, I just look at them like they're crazy because if they can see my brother's apartment and see that stuff he got going on, it's crazy. So that's not an excuse for me no more. When I'm talking to people, and I talk to a lot of people, I was like, it's no excuse. Here's some seeds. They cost $1. You can go to the dollar store now. You can get 4 packs of seeds for $1. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah. Absolutely. That's not what you get taught, right? So it's not as if people are resistant to it, what they don't know. It's really breaking through that misunderstanding, those things where those misconceptions about what it looks like. And then once we learn it, that's when we can go. And it's important that people are connecting the dots, listening to folks like you, the people that you interview, doing their research and that sort of thing, because it's important. But unfortunately, that's not the direction that we get pushed into. And so it takes a bit of time. It takes some convincing that this is possible. And
I would say trickery.
it is trickery. You're right about that in every way. And I appreciate the fact that you are pushing this message out here. And also, not only the message, but a living example. You're doing it.
I
Um,
feel like you can't do it if you haven't lived it. You know what I'm saying? And I give it to the people because we fascinated with entertainment and having an entertainment background and a news and journalism background. I try to give everything in an entertainment form, but also informing and educating people, and that's my goal. If you ever go on my social media platform, I'm doing funny skits. I'm actually in an acting class now to get even better at acting. And so I want to do it in a funny way or an entertaining way, but also have that serious hard message in between the lines.
all right, man. We talked a lot about the gardening. If you want to add on with the beats with the podcast, it would be a great opportunity to do that, just to seal that up and let people know the angle that you take with that as well.
X is the beats, it's the music. If you see any of my original posts, if I'm not using like a trending sound on audio, everything I produce underneath my work is my beats here in my basement. I create the beats on the fly. I just created a beat for this podcast, a little promo that I wanted to do behind the scenes thing, getting ready. And so I actually created an Afro beat track that I just completed for this. But yeah, everything is original music that I do when I'm not using a trending sound. And so that has further me along the way. One of the things that I'm doing this summer is I'm actually having a beat battle in the garden. They was like, garden and beats, where's the beats at? We're gonna see the beats. The beats is gonna be in the garden this year, and I'm gonna have a beat battle. I won't be in the battle, but there will be several people in the battle battling it out for the best producer in the garden. You know what I'm saying? And so the music is always going to be there too. I do sing, I do play some instruments, and you might see me down the line showcasing that on social media, but just not right now. But actually, I do make the beats. And then I also have another program that I do called New Soul Live Thursdays, which is another podcast that I wanted to showcase the beat side and the music side. And that one also talking to music artists, but those music artists usually end up having a garden after they talk to me, or they already had a garden. So I mix it up in between so you could get both. Some people don't understand the platform that I'm creating, but I was like, that's okay, because when it gets time for them to understand it, they'll get it. People's like, you need to do the Black Gardener Talk over here, create a whole page for that, do gardening beats here for your garden consultations and teaching people how to grow food and classes, keep it here, do this here. No, this is what you get at Gardening Beat. You're gonna get classes, you're gonna get music, you're gonna get music artists, you're gonna get gardeners and farmers, you're gonna get me acting a fool sometime. You might even see a little bit of my family on it, but you're gonna get everything within gardening and beats.
That's awesome, man. And I love that you are defining it as you go and defining it for yourself because it's yours, it's your platform, it's your talent and your skill. And however you want to give it to the people is however they gonna get it.
Yes, because I
Yeah.
have friends that have 6 or 7 Instagrams and 3 or 4 TikToks, and I was like, I don't have time to keep up like that. I don't have time to be posting here and there and there, and then go back to my original website and do stuff on there. I just don't have the time. So this is what you get in here.
Awesome. You already touched on this, but I definitely want, if there is anything that you want to talk about when it comes to your 2023 expansion and goals, if there's anything that you haven't mentioned as it goes to your expansion goals for this year and beyond, please shout that out.
One, I remember seeing the notation that you sent out for people. So let's start with 2022. 2022 was a great year. I won the Webby Award, but I also got to go to Uganda to teach people how to grow food. So that's why I throw the global part into my title, Global Garden Coach. And I will probably add celebrity now because I'm working with a couple recording artists that I met doing lives too, and I invested time with them, going to Ohio in the summertime and teaching a young lady named Konya Doss how to garden, and she's one of the queens of neo soul. So I'm gonna be adding celebrity garden coach to the mix. But just going to Uganda and seeing that and working with people over there in rural parts of Africa with a nun too. And I had to be with a nun every day. I had to sleep in a nunnery. And I was like, sleeping in a nunnery? And I'm the only male in the nunnery. This I don't know. but I had a chance to do that. And that was just based off being consistent on social media. Somebody saw me on Facebook who I never thought would see me on Facebook. And plus, I had left Facebook for a little bit. And so they actually contacted me. And that was interesting because I thought it was a scam. We see scams every day to the point where I had to get in my car and drive to Baltimore and see if this was really a place. You know what I'm saying? Then a community college here in Virginia contacted me to speak to 20,000 Black and brown young people about farming and gardening because they started a farming degree program there. And I'm invited back this year. In a couple of weeks, I'll be doing that. But that was exciting to be in front of 20,000 people speaking, almost like a TED Talk. And the crazy part was there were supposed to be several other panelists on the platform. And when I got to it, it was only me. So I had to go for it, you know what I'm saying? It was like no better time than now to go. So I pride myself on that. So in 2023, I want to be doing more speaking engagement in front of as many people as possible. And that might lead me to a national television show that I am got something in the works, you know what I'm saying? And I'm really excited about that. But just being in front of more people. I also did this year spoke to school professionals who wants to start school gardens at their school. So that was about 200 people. So just being in the faces, keep doing Black Garden Talk, the podcast. Oh, and then Afro and Audio, I got to come on and be a part of the festival, the 4th annual festival, and how to monetize your platform or your podcast. And that was pretty dope. And that's what I've been able to do now. I've been able to, less than 2 years, monetize my podcast to a point where there's some other things I can't really talk about, but there's some big name artists that keyed into me and they're talking to me about doing some things and they actually sponsor a couple of the episodes. And so that's what I'll continue to do. It's not that I'm chasing money, but the money is starting to come. So I was like, it's out there. I need to grab it. I have 2 jobs. I have a full-time job and a part-time job. So, you know, I'm not lacking on the money. But then the community garden, I
Yeah.
forgot to talk about it. I'm starting a community garden in my neighborhood. It's 2 acres of unfinished land that we're going to turn into a gardening and event space and community art space. And I'm going to have gardens for seniors with high top garden beds where they don't have to reach over and bend over. We're going to have some kids garden space. We're going to be working with homeschool kids to get them back out into the nature, and then adults. I'm starting the Brotherhood Garden Club, which is going to be really focused on trying to get more Black and brown brothers into gardening, and then be able to mentor kids there in that space. And then, like I said, there will be a beat battle in the garden. The beat battle will take place in that garden space, as well as yoga, meditation from not only adults, but some kid meditation going on, and something called a hammock forest. So there's a section where we're going to do a bunch of maybe 30 to 40 hammocks in that space, and people can come out and chill out when they're gardening and just relax. Yeah, that's my 2023 goal, to be in front of more faces and getting the word out. Acting, like I said, I'm in some acting classes now. And so I'm doing that to just to perfect being on camera. And like I said, I never wanted to be in front of the camera. Who knew I would be taking an acting class from 3 years ago to now? It's crazy.
Wow, man, you're a powerhouse, man. And I'm just, they can't see me. When this video comes out, they can't see me the way you're seeing me because I wanted this to be completely focused on the people I'm interviewing. But man, I'm beaming, bro. I'm so excited about this and so proud of the work that you're doing, and definitely looking forward to however I can be a part of it and be in contribution to it because it's amazing. And I'm so happy that you decided one day.
And it's funny, like I said earlier on, I don't know what's happening. I'm just doing it. I'm living in the moment. You know what I'm saying? And then it's like I said, I get these messages. I'm changing lives. I work with a person who wanted to start a garden for his family. And he called me up and he's like, I want to do a garden. I want to do it big. I was like, just do it small. He said, no, I want to do it big. And so we built this big contraption in his backyard, and it's caged in, and he got 6 or 7 garden beds. And it made me cry because he really listened to me. You know what I'm saying? He really took the time to listen to me and write the notes down and did it the right way. And then he's feeding his family. I think it's 4 or 5 of them now. And he just hit me up the other day. Was like, I gotta start on my 2023 goals. And I was like, yeah, he's doing it, you know. So I'm proud of the work that I'm doing. I just sometimes I just don't see it because I'm in the moment of it. And it takes somebody to make a video, or it takes somebody to rip a clip from the podcast and talk about it. Somebody talked about a compost toilet in an episode, and I was like, what is a compost toilet? I was blown away by that.
Listen, there's a story for everyone.
Yes. Because I was like, and it was at the end of the time I was about to run out. And I had this, can you stay for a few more minutes? Because
Yeah,
you have to break this
damn.
compost bathroom thing down because I need to understand it.
Yeah, yeah. Wow. Man, this has been a great conversation. I really enjoyed connecting with you. We have been around one another. When I say around, I'm talking about circling one another as far as like the Afros and Audio Podcast Festival and everything. But this is my first time actually getting to meet you and talk with you directly. And I'm so glad that we did. Yeah, I'm looking forward to everything that you have done and especially what you got moving forward. It's been great, man. If there anything else that you want to talk about, especially the thing that's coming up for me when you talk about this experience and how things are manifesting in, for you, is that you got out of that overthinking process of how am I going to do this and how am I going to do that, and just allowed yourself to be with it and grow with it. And if you could share any little brief jewel about that, like just being in the moment and allowing yourself to grow with the process.
I would say one is just be consistent in whatever you do. Just be consistent. And I believe that's what helped me. You know what I'm saying? When I'm glued into something, I'm glued into something. Like in my workspace outside of this stuff, I'm glued into that workspace. And I feel like when you glued into it, things happen. Didn't really mention for one of the goals that I just happened to walk into was I'm going to be teaching something called garden therapy to patients at a hospital as well as the staff. And that's coming in 2023. And when I posted it, people didn't really get it. They didn't really see it. They didn't really read it. But I was like, how did I walk into it? And so in the video, I'm walking into the hospital and there's people not going to get it. But I walked into that by just being in the right place and being consistent. They was like, you always consistent. You always doing this. Be consistent, y'all. You got to be consistent and just live in the moment. You know what I'm saying? But when the moment do come, make sure you have it all together too. You know what I'm saying? In my basement, I do have like chart sheets all over the place. I do have a lawyer now, so people can do crazy stuff with me and my brand now. And that's somebody that I walked into. I used to work with this person who happened to be a lawyer. I'll give for you for a year and a half pro bono if you help me and my family get a garden started. I was like, bet. And so now people come to me with partnership deals with like seed companies and different things, and they just want you to get a little profit off by just posting. No, you're gonna pay me to be in this partnership, and you're gonna have to talk to my lawyer first, and then we'll come up with an agreement. And that's just being consistent and stay consistent and be in people's faces. Whether you're on camera or not, just be consistent. I guess that's the gem. That sounds right. Do that
No,
sound right to you?
it's right. It's your formula, man, and it's working. So it's something that
Yeah. Because I don't know if that was a gym, but it feels like a gym.
oh, it's a gem, man.
That's
It's a
what,
gem.
yeah, that's what works for me. I was just being consistent and just showing up. You know what I'm saying? Somebody say, "Oh, can you do this?" I'm gonna show up. You know what I'm saying? I work with many kids, teaching many kids gardening, and people see that, and so people want to work with me, and I want to be genuine, and I want to be real, and I want to live in the moment. And if it makes sense, then I'm going to do it. You know what I'm saying? And if I happen to get paid off, then I just get paid off it. But that's not something that I'm actually chasing right now. I'm not chasing the paper for that, you know. And I think that's what makes it more realer for me because it's not, oh, I gotta do this, I gotta do this, I gotta sell this, I gotta be on social media to sell this, trying to when is that next dollar coming, blah, blah, blah. I gotta do this. Because I think that leads to some people doing some stuff that doesn't fit in a brand. And that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to see me in a pair of underwears talking about, oh, grow some string beans. And I'm in some underwear because a big underwear brand said, yeah, we won't work with you. No, you know what I'm saying?
No, I hear you.
I mean,
Heard it.
because I've seen that happen to some
Oh
people.
yeah.
You know what I'm
Oh
saying?
yeah.
And it's not necessarily like grow food, but they come in with their brand on something else. The next thing you know, they have naked on the internet because some big company told them that they was going to pay them some money.
It ain't worth it. It ain't worth it.
Yeah, it's not worth it at the end of the day. I'm not going to sacrifice my brand for $1. You know what I'm saying? And I had to learn that too, because early on there were some companies that was coming to me and they weren't in line with what I was doing. And I was like, oh, you're gonna pay me $10? Okay, it's the pandemic. I can take $10 and buy this with it, some DoorDash or something, you know what I'm saying? And I was like, you know what? It's not worth it. You know what I'm saying? When a brand want to work with you, they want to work with you and they want to work with you because of what you bring to the table and what you represent. And so
Absolutely. It's clearer you are, the easier no is because you're clear. You're not chasing every opportunity isn't an opportunity. It's the ones that align, not just with your brand, because we are people. We are not brands. Our brand is our brand. And so being in integrity and having things align with who you are personally and your personality and what you want to look back on and not be like, okay, don't look at that one. You know, just
yeah.
the things that you can remain proud of, stand beside is definitely the work that you want to stay consistent with. Man, I really, again, I appreciate this conversation and I know people are going to get a lot out of this, man. And yeah, Kamani's busy as hell right now. I don't know what more people hitting him up, but I can imagine every time somebody gets an opportunity to hear from you, it opens again because this is not what we are, our typical conversation. Sourcing our own food, growing our own food, no matter what your circumstances are, no matter what your condition is, that is not the message.
And to speak of that, when people hear me, I talk to all people and see what, because you never know when your next big opportunity. And I think, like I said, just being consistent and being able to reach out to people and talk back to people, that those opportunities jump in your face. And everything I've gained from here has been an opportunity that was presented to me that I didn't really reach out for. Now I was like, oh, someone wants to do a TV show with me. This is what I expect from it. You know what I'm saying? And then I can set those expectations. But at first I was like, just come and then we'll see how it rolls.
Yeah, man. And the ripple effect that you are having in these communities and these little Kamanis that'll be running around in these youth organizations because you taught them this is, man, you may not ever know the full impact, but I'm sure you know enough of it. And that's amazing, man. So congratulations to all of your success.
Thank
Wish you so much more. And I'm really, again, I'm just super excited about all the work that you're doing because it's necessary as hell.
you. And grow by any means necessary. And so I need you and your family to start growing food. Yeah, you back on the Maryland Eastern Shore. Get out there. You got the land.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Listen, my wife is all on it. We have all the herbs, but it's all inside the house. So we are looking forward to getting back out there and food on the land. Thank you for the encouragement. And like I said, man, this is an amazing conversation and I can't wait for people to hear it. So you talked about the website, social media, where people can find you, the podcast live show that you do. Let people know that so they know where to find you. And it'll be in the description.
Yeah, everything is at Gardening and Beats. And that's the website, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, fan base. What is it? Apple Music. Oh, I'm featured on Apple Music. So I'm on Apple Music on the front page. If you scroll down to award-winning podcast, a section right there. And it's funny, I sit in between Kobe Bryant's podcast that he was doing before his passing and mine, and we bumped up together. I've been getting a lot of traffic because I think a lot of people see the Kobe Bryant icon and then they see me next to it, and so they click between the two. And so yeah, I'm featured on Apple Music Podcast. Also, I'm working on a deal now, and I can say it because it's almost done with Amazon, where it's going to be all female gardeners and farmers, and they're going to put that on their front page as a way to see what Black and brown women gardeners and farmers are doing for Women History Month. And so I'm really excited about that.
That's awesome, man. Again, congratulations. I'm going to close this out and stay right there for me, okay?
Sure.
All right, so I want to give a big thanks to our Afros and Audio and Black podcast community for supporting our commitment for community and collaboration. If you'd like to join the Black Podcasters Association, the link will be in the description below. And if you want to join us at the 5th Annual Afros and Audio Podcast Festival, visit bit.ly/AFAU FAQ, which will also be in the description. Follow us on all social media channels at Afros and Audio. And thanks again, Kamani, for being a part of Afros and Audio's first ever Black History Month interview series. I really enjoyed this.
Thank you.